ensure that the cost of oil and gas is coming down, and also in terms of technology, in terms of because as long as you get better efficiency with the technology that you produce, and it will overall bring the cost down, as it is already. The oil and gas production is the cheapest production, probably second to nuclear. And we were talking about things yesterday, and our biggest takeaway is we believe that the industry is on the pickup because the cost of renewables are basically going to not really coming down as it was hyped in the earlier stages. I mean, even 3 years ago, and the days of considering oil and gas as being a sunset industry is just not there. So we are very bullish about this industry. We are looking at putting more money into this industry, and we hope that actually with our collaboration, because I'll tell you, one of the things that Trump has done with Malaysia is extracting, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Chuang can correct me, between 120 or if not 240 billion for investment into the United States. So all this investment that he's been announcing, coming from Japan, coming from GCC, coming from Apple, coming from TSMC, YC, which is from Taiwan, I think those will translate. The only thing is that the lag time for that will probably be at minimum 16 to 18 months. And you will see the difference. Chuang, would you like to add before we go to another party? Anybody else or another topic? Chuang?
No, Sam, that's good. That's good wrap up. And maybe you can let other people in the room talk. I think we haven't heard from Jimmy yet.
Yeah.
Or Andre.
What are we talking about?
Andre, no, we're just looking at it. No, we're still at the economy, unless you want to move on to another topic.
No. I feel that the United States doesn't talk enough about the economy. We've heard from people individually on this discussion about everybody's personal prices going up. It's true that nationally coffee is up nearly 15%. Beef in the United States is up nearly 15%. Natural gas is up nearly as high. In New York City, where I live, electricity is priced at about 5 cents per kilowatt higher than the rest of the United States. And that means that a monthly electric bill in New York City for a residential apartment is at a minimum of $400 to $500. None of this is what the people of the United States voted for. And as more than one political analyst has pointed out, one of the failures of the Biden administration was the fact that he came into office known for several decades of foreign policy experience, and we witnessed one of the biggest humiliations of the United States in the withdrawal from Afghanistan. And the shock that the Americans felt at that, the shock that the world saw as the United States pulled out in such a horrific manner. In a similar way, what President Trump is doing to the United States economy, as somebody who came into office, and I believe most of his voters believed that he was a master at the economy, that many voters believe that the first 3 years of his presidency, beginning in 2017, demonstrated an expertise with the economy. We're not seeing that this time. We're seeing a rapid increase in the government debt just in the first 6 months. We haven't even touched the national defense budget. We haven't even touched the continuing resolution that needs to be passed. And even the dramatic increase in national debt from the One Big Beautiful Bill that was passed, even that is already being addressed by additional spending because of the cuts that were made to Medicaid. It is simply politically untenable in this working year. So there's already legislation to put back some of the quote unquote savings that they found by cutting Medicaid to people and cutting off rural hospitals. We are only, as Wes said, we're only increasing our debt. It is only going up. I don't see, as many people have already discussed here, the fact that the United States can grow this way, that it can grow its way out of this problem. We are at a 70%, close to 70% services economy in this country. Those services will not be done towards international visitors, as we are ranked below 100 other countries in terms of international visitors so far this year. We're typically in the top 20. We do not have visitors coming to this country. We are deporting people by the thousands in the hopes of having over 1 million deported in 1 year alone, which will by default decrease our marketplace. And so in the end, this goes back to the promise of Trump, a solid businessman, a solid economy. What happens when, just like Biden, who's supposed to be a solid guy on foreign policy, let alone for, domestic stuff, he messed up in Afghanistan. What happens? Is this the chink in the armor for President Trump, where people start asking, well, if he couldn't do the economy, then why am I trusting him on other stuff? I don't know if that's the case, but that's something that people have consistently asked. Where is the ceiling for Trump in terms of people starting to doubt his expertise? Because as we know, up until this point, he has about a 90% approval rate within his people who voted for him. So I think the economy is the question mark for him going forward. If we don't see a slowdown in the prices, that's going to be, I think, ball game for the midterm elections.
Interesting. Chuang, shall we take Haley? Haley, can you jump in, please? I want to hear your thoughts. You've been putting some things on the chat. Haley?
Oh, this is not a conversation I can weigh in on. This is way over my head.
Okay. Chuang?
Sam, can I have a follow-up question with Andre, if possible?
Right, go ahead, please.
And so I saw the latest inflation numbers, Andre, and it seems as if whatever impact on your CPI is not necessarily tariff related. It's more on things like things like shelter and accommodation and used cars and stuff like that. And it seems pretty benign, right? Despite what we talk about in terms of inflation.
Oh, sorry. You're saying the rise in prices should be described as benign? I'm just asking politically, not in terms of whether it's true or not. Because it sounds, one more time. It sounds like you're saying that inflation is transitory, and that's what hurt Biden in the last.
No, I didn't. I didn't say transitory. It seems as if it's benign in terms of year-on-year growth. It's already bloody high, and it's too high. I agree with you guys, right? And it's the same thing here. So it's the same in other parts of the world. I want to ask your thoughts, because by the end of this year, we should probably have interest rates drop by at least 2 rate cuts, right? That's at least 50 basis points. And then you've already seen money supply M2 growing by an order of magnitude, which is considerably higher than historical averages. And I think that's part of the reason why Bitcoin is going up as well. So by the end of this year, because of those 2 reasons, inflation should be higher for those 2 reasons. And it seems as if those developments don't seem to get addressed in mainstream media. I'm just wondering how you're thinking about these things.
Yeah, I mean, they're not being addressed by I think the plan, the execution of the rollout of the tariff by President Trump and his White House to start high, go a little lower, prove in the media sphere and online that they did not crash the economy, as was predicted, has dulled people into waiting for the floor to drop. I believe that, we've talked about earlier, Wes talked about earlier, that we're not at a point where we're ever going to pay this back and that we're going to have cutbacks, etc. I don't think that's happening in the near term. I think in the near term, the floor will come down politically on President Trump before the end of the year. when we have businesses reporting profits and loss and are just loss after loss because of the tariffs. And they are going to have to, if they're not passing along the losses already to consumers, they are going to have to pass them along, because their concern isn't what Trump says. Their concern is the bottom line for the business, and their shareholders say, give us profit. And right now the tariffs are eating profit. And I don't think we can go 2 quarters with eating profit in any business, let alone some of the major corporations like Procter & Gamble, which already declared that they will be losing $1 billion due to the tariffs by the end of calendar 25, and they will be instituting a 25% price increase across the board on their biggest products. And that's a company that doesn't just limit itself to one tiny sphere of the supermarket. So that's just going to be a reality for us across the board. If we're when I saw Carolyn Levitt trying to explain that inflation really isn't happening, she saw a 6-month report and an annualized report over the 6 months. That's just not in line with everything else. It's you're cherry picking the data to try to tell the Americans not to panic. And I think all of us were drawn to this online platform, whether it's two-way or these communications, because we were sick and tired of politicians lying to us. And I think we're at the level that people are being disingenuous about the state of the economy in the same way they were being disingenuous about inflation during the Biden years. And I don't know when that comes to a head, but it's certainly not the case in the White House briefing room right now. In the White House briefing room, we're not discussing the economy in the way that it's real.
Chuang, Andre, thank you for that. I'd like to, I think Rahul,
I would like to jump in.
Chat. Sure, please, Prof.
I'm going to jump in.
Yes, Kenny, go ahead. Please.
I just want to piggyback on what Andre said earlier. With the withdrawal of Afghanistan, and then with how that hurt Biden, and then the economy. So of course it's the old Carville saying, it's the economy, stupid. However, I think Trump will still be able to show some wins, with the border. If he can get anything done with Russia, Ukraine, which I don't think so. I mean, I don't even know about that. But if he can show some wins, that'll help, because I think the American people are going to, are they going to turn to the Democrats because the economy is not what they want? Is that what we think that's going to happen? I don't think so this time around, because I think there's a real distrust, like Andre says, about government as a whole. And I just think people will go, listen, we know we got to wait out these Trump deals. They're not, like Frank said, they're not going to happen overnight. This is a long process. One thing Frank has brought up before, which he's 100% right, though, when it comes to midterms, is all politics is local, so that'll be an interesting twist. But I think if Trump could message wins, I think he might be able to come out on top. At the end of Biden's administration, he couldn't show any wins, and even like the infrastructure bill and stuff, he added $4.7 trillion to the debt. So that was, never mind all the other problems Biden had. As far as, when Biden was getting out, it is true, inflation was stabilizing, but it's a feel, and the problem is with this country is we don't stop spending. We love to spend, even when it hurts us. Instead of saying, I'm not going to spend my money on $7 coffees or whatever, we do it. And that's what hurts our economy, because we don't force lowering prices. The way you start lowering prices is, first of all, you got to get gas prices down, even though, people can argue, well, they're not as bad as they were. Yeah, they're not as bad as they were. They're still too high. And you got to get the credit card interest rates down.
There you go.
And that starts bringing everything else down.
Bingo.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Yakov, you have anything to add?
Yeah, the last point about the credit card charges is extremely well taken. Also, don't like what Andre said about the energy prices, especially about the electric prices, especially in cities that are banning gas ranges and they're forcing people to use electric ranges. The electric prices are going crazy. But there's one other thing that nobody's talking about. The insurance, the cost of insuring property in New York has gone up over 50% at least, year over year over year. And that's if you could get insurance. And the government is not reining in the cost of insurance. And then a lot of properties are not going to be insurable. So with the insurance, with the energy, and with the interest rates, those are the three things that are going to kill people in America over the next few years.
Thank you. Thank you. Chuang, we've heard quite a cross section of views on the economy. I want to go, before I move to the next topic, which actually we wanted to go into the situation between Israel, Gaza, and the U.S. position. I'd like to give Rahul some of the views he's been putting on the chat. Chuang, are you okay with that?
Yeah,
Buddy.
let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, Rahul, can you jump in, please?
Okay.
You're in Northern California, which is should be very expensive. So maybe we round off with you. What's going on from your side of the coast?
What's going on my side? Well, folks know the cost.
With respect to the prices and how you look at inflation and how things are moving after 6 months of Trump.
Yeah, I've been tracking jumbo egg prices. Apparently, I'm big on jumbo eggs. Aside from that, I think the beef prices are up. I mean, I can't deny that. So I'm in a little different bit of a bubble here. We don't drive much. I'm just at home with the folks, so can't really give you the insights on the cost of living. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all right. Okay, I think Chuang, I think for our audience, we've always said that there is a lag time between policy and oh, sorry, my microphone is mute. Oh, okay, sorry. I mean, I've always said that we've always said there's a lag time between policy and results. Now, that's the only question is, as what Andre mentioned, when will the overall results show before the midterm elections, especially? So I think that's maybe we'll have to revisit this particular question come the next 5 to 6 months. What do you think, Chuang? You got anything to add, buddy?
I think that there seems to be a divide between how good we think America is doing and how Americans on the ground are thinking about what's happening. It seems as if I don't know. There's a bit of a disconnect, but obviously domestic issues like cost of living and things like that are gripping everybody's attention. The economy, of course, is important. But I mean, we've spent about an hour on this already so far, Sam. Should we move on to geopolitics?
Yes, please. I think what we'd like to go on the second topic, and probably we'll see how it goes after this. What was interesting in our last podcast was we noted that basically the Arab League had made a decision to effectively say to the world that they are not backing Hamas in the Gaza conflict, and they want to see Hamas putting down their weapons, and they want to see the area to be governed by a non-Hamas entity, and that is, in essence, if you ask me, of whether it's really in line with the current Israel administration, or I don't know how they're going to achieve that without really the Israelis making a more bold move than what they've already done. I don't know. I mean, I want to go into that particular topic. Do you want to add to that? I would like Haley after that maybe to give her two pieces, because for your information, Chuang, she was in the IDF and part of her career. Chuang, you want to add to that point that I just made?
Yeah. Look, I think one of the things that I look at is holy market, and that's obviously the voice of the people. There's money involved, and not many Americans think there's going to be a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas by the end of August, let alone September. So doesn't seem to be a lot of confidence on that front. Heidi, I see you smiling. What are your remarks on this issue?
Haley, can you jump in, please? Yakov, I'll come back to you. Do I have Haley?
I don't think you
where's
guys are
Haley?
gonna like what I have to say because
Please
uh,
say, and then we'll go to Yakov next.
I think everybody knows my position on what's happening right now, and I'm extremely unhappy and extremely disappointed that the government has decided to temporarily take over Gaza. I think it is the complete wrong decision. I think that this war needs to end. I think that it's more important to save what is left of the country and the internal politics that is happening that is almost destroying the country. I think that this government is an extremist government that needs to be voted out by the people, because the majority of the people do not want this government anymore and do not agree with their decisions. And
Haley, you are very specifically talking about the current Israeli administration under Bibi Netanyahu, right?
yes, 100%.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not
Just to clarify. Okay.
I'm not conflating my people and the government, and I seem to be the only one who can differentiate between the two, because the rest of the world doesn't. And that's the most pressing issue, is the safety of Israelis also abroad is as big of a problem as the safety of Israelis within the country. And the current Israeli government is doing absolutely nothing to combat any PR war. And because of that, we have lost the international community. We have lost the young people in America, and we have done nothing to combat it as a country. And nobody understands that it's just as important as the actual military war on the ground. And if we lose that front, we lose so much more as a country than Hamas. I mean, this is Hamas's greatest achievement in what they're doing right now to the state of Israel. And I, as an Israeli, non-religious Jew and secular Israeli, cannot stand by what my government is doing right now. I just cannot, and I will not. And this is the complete wrong approach, and this war needs to end. Soldiers needs to stop dying. Mistakes need to stop happening, and we need to leave the Palestinians to themselves right now, and we need to get out. And I'm sorry, it's just after this conversation in the morning meeting, it's starting to get extremely emotional for me to start talking about this topic, because it's starting to terrify me to live in this country where people under the age of 30 conflate Israelis and the government and do not know how to differentiate the two. And I just fear for every single Israeli who lives abroad. I really do.
Okay. Haley, I'll circle back to you. There are quite a few interesting points you've made with respect to, I thought, therefore, the thing that popped in my mind was, what then would the solution be actually with respect to solve what is currently ongoing? Secondly, I'm also, it sounds your concern about the safety of Jews in America itself sound very alarming to me, considering that Wow, that's an interesting point. I've never really considered personally coming from my side of the world. Uh, can I go to Yakov and have his 2 points or 2 cents on this? Yakov, can you join in, please?
Yes. Haley, let's say the prime minister was Benny Gantz or Yair Lapid. Do you think any Hamas person in America would stand up for Israel?
No.
And no. So that's not a Benjamin Netanyahu issue, and it's not and it's not a government issue. It's
Do you think he's helping us?
It's because we're Jews. My best friend, my best friend, my buddy who played first place and I played third place, was shot on the Brooklyn Bridge by Islamists because he was a Jew. Okay? By the first American terrorist attack by Islamists. My friend, my best buddy, my next.
I am with you on the anti-Semitism, but we have to differentiate between the anti-Semites, which I agree there are so many of them. It's they're crawling out of the ground like rats. It's disgusting. I agree with that. But we also have to differentiate that there are a lot of people who are on our side who have started to criticize the government in a way that we cannot deny that this government is not doing us any favors in the world. They're not. We can't deny that.
All right,
I am with you on the pro-Hamas people. They're disgusting, and they should be people like Mahmoud Khalil and people like that should be, condemned and figuratively hung in the streets. I really do agree with you. But there are people who have a criticism of Israel that is justified, and we cannot conflate the two because there are justified criticisms of this government. We have them. The hostage families have them. They are in the streets. There were 60,000 people outside in Tel Aviv protesting. This cannot be denied anymore, that there is a majority of the Israeli people do not want this government.
Okay, so right now, let's say you're the prime minister. How are you ending the war? Go.
You end the war. You take out the IDF in exchange for the hostages.
But Hamas is not agreeing to that.
Yes,
Hamas
it's
is
not on the table.
It is.
No, it's not, Yaakov. It's Bibi doing his theater in the press. The negotiation teams are not even in Qatar. This is not on the table. Bibi has not formally introduced that proposal. He says it in the press because he's as big of a showman as Hamas is.
Okay, guys.
One second. I speak to people. Right. I speak to people in the government since January. I hosted, what's his name? Gallant in this office in January. That was on the table since last year. It's not true. I'm telling you.
Gallant is one of his biggest opposition now.
Right. And he told me that on the table, always on the table since last year, that that Israel offered give back all of the hostages and leave Gaza.
Know as well as I do, if Israel was serious, it would have happened.
Not true. I want to say a quote, and you tell me who said this quote, okay? They say Hitler killed the Jews for being Jews, and that Europe hated the Jews because they were Jews. Not true. It was clearly explained that they fought the Jews because of the social role, not their religion. He fought the Jews because they were dealing with money lending. In his view,
you can credit that.
They were engaged in sabotage, and that is why they hate them. Who said that?
You could credit that with so many people today, so I have absolutely no idea.
Okay, so I'll tell you who said that. Mahmoud Abbas said that in September 2023, and that's the same. And that's the same person that the world wants us to give a state to. So it has nothing to do with, my point is, it has nothing to do with the Israeli government, has nothing to do with Jews, it has nothing to do with what we're doing in Gaza. It has to do with the world likes dead Jews.
I'm not talking about Hamas. You and I agree on Hamas. You and I agree on the Hamas. You and I agree on the pro-Hamas people. Those aren't the people that I'm talking about. Those aren't the people the people I'm talking about. The ones who are on our side, the ones who have been on our side since October 7th, and in the last 2 months since Bibi has announced his plan, since Smotrich and Ben Gvir has had him by the throat, and they've announced their plan for the greater Israel, you can't deny that these people are saying these things. They go out in conferences by the masses, by the thousands, and they're excuse me, and they're standing there saying, we are going to enter Gaza and not leave. They say these things. It's recorded on Israeli news.
Great, that's a democracy. Everybody, you have
But
crazy
they have
people.
him by
No, they
because of
don't.
his government.
Yeah, every government, in America, they have crazy politicians also. But my point is, they don't hate America. They don't hate Israel because of what we're doing. They hate Israel and they hate Jews in America because we're Jews. That's the end.
Yeah, Yaakov, Haley, thank you. I think we got two point of views that actually is not that far off, to be honest. The only problem I see is how do we end this, right?
Shamsul, this is the arguments that are happening within Israel. This is exactly the two sides that are represented within the political sphere right now. This is what is actually happening. This is the fight. This is what is causing the civil unrest that might happen.
Yeah, Chuang, Claudio, can you hang on a second before I come back to you? I would like Chuang to give his thoughts on this after listening to this conversation between Haley and Yaakov. Chuang, you want to add something? I think this is fascinating. Where's Chuang? What happened to him? Chuang. All right. I'm going to go to Claudio first. He has his hands up. Claudio?
Yeah, to be honest, I agree with Eli, despite I'm more morally on the position of Yaakov, but for a simple reason, because after reflecting in a strategically cold-blooded level rather than an emotional blooded level, rather to say I would take a katana to defend Yaakov and Eli from a propal that tries to beat them up. The idea is that in 2017 they stopped to do all the military intelligence operation. Lieberman told that clear and loud. For me, the solution is easy. They could do what they did again. They let the guy that decided that should be the new government. Alila, I don't remember the name of this Palestinian entrepreneur that is quoted usually. I think Alila or something like that. I'm not sure of the pronunciation, sorry. But my idea is that we should put a new government in Gaza and meanwhile do what the IDF has always done since 2017 before to stop intelligence. Destroy all the Hamas guys that have remained in a clinical, clear way rather than doing a war to let... because the thing is that, as Ali say, she's a non-secular religious. I totally understand that thing. Because for me, the second element of people that will be killed via mass after, not killed, but I would say it will be the ultra-Orthodox. I think they created the most of the problem with the Israelis, with all the stuff, especially for, as Ali say, for the secular, non-religious like her. Because, as I always say to my friend, I'm sick and tired that guys of Tel Aviv and Haifa have to fight for people in kibbutz that just care to procreate and defend themselves from Palestinian settler, but once they have to go in Gaza, they never go. I say we cannot do this, we cannot enter in the army because we have to study the Bible. I mean, I don't think Yaakov is that kind of person, but I'm scared of this kind of people. I say I'm just here to procreate and not to defend Israel, which is quite scary. My solution for me is to kill all Hamas, of course, but in someday you will not do that annexing that Duke will create other Hamas people. Is that the problem? You have to let a new government arrive, like in the Meiji era in Japan, destroy all the opponents that have remained to new government or to the future. That's the reality, in my opinion. You cannot do the war
Claudio,
now.
May I get Chuang in and myself? I mean, this is listening to both Haley and Yaakov has been very, very interesting. and e- uh, especially for our audience coming from this side of the world, the biggest problem I find listening to the both of them is the solution itself. Um, you don't have Hamas really wanting to put down their weapons, if you ask me. Chuang, can you chime in, please? Thank you, Claudio.
I'm listening with great interest, and I have to say that I've got to defer to you, Sam, for knowledge on this issue because obviously you're thinking about it much more deeply than I do. I'm much more looking at the economy, but just looking at the conversations in here, it seems as if the much needed peace that we wanted, or the much needed downing of tools, is not anywhere on the horizon. And Sam, again, I would defer to you for viewpoints of this issue, but yeah, it's not looking good.
Yeah,
Back to you, Sam.
I mean, okay, thank you. You see, here's the thing that I look at when I see this problem that that they are discussing. The biggest issue from understanding the anti-Semitism and the problem that is faced, whether it be America, if it is to be the peacemaker, whether it is Bibi or anybody else in the Israeli administration. The biggest problem is, how do you disarm Hamas? You can't just say, I want to have peace, when the party that is bent on, not really, if you ask me personally, bent on the independence of their people, but more in keeping to power, because because Hamas has been funded in the billions of dollars over the last decade at least. And so where do we go from there? So I think, the Arab League has to come in with America, and somehow or other have a pressure on the Bibi administration to actually find a solution to disarm Hamas in as best way possible, so that the PR war is not won by the people who wants to obliterate Israel. That's the way I see it. Anyway, I think we are almost out of the topic, unless Yakov or Haley wants to add further. Yakov?
Nothing. Just what you said. You can't make peace with yourself. And also, just to just bring this home and put a ribbon on it a little bit. The victims from 10/7 are the biggest pro-peace or pro-giving the Palestinians land. Those are the people living who got killed and got butchered and got raped and got kidnapped from those communities. So it's about Hamas wanting to kill Jews, and that's what it is, and that's it. Whatever. Moving on.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I would like to, on behalf of our GutShot podcast and the hospitality of our host Rahul on the post morning show, thank everyone that has joined in today. It has been a wonderful discussion. Would love to see you guys again when I'm not as this one. Chuang, you want to add something to that, please?
No,
For
it's
our
fantastic,
friends
Sam.
here in the States. Yeah.
Yeah, Sam, so much thanks for putting this together, and for Rahul for allowing us to accommodate us to do this. Some of the voices in here, in fact, most of the voices in here, really resonated, and so much substance behind what you guys are saying. I do hope this is not the only rodeo we're gonna hold. I think hopefully we can do more of this down the line. Sam, this linkage between us and ASEAN and Malaysia, and what you guys stateside, I think is highly valuable. This whole conversation between both sides is really, really important. I think we can. I'm hoping we can do much more of this down the line. Sam. So thanks for putting this together.
Yeah. Shall we hand it over back to Rahul and wrap this up, Rahul?
Hang
Where's
tight,
our
guys.
buddy?
We're going to take us out here, and we'll spend a few minutes offline, off live. Hang tight.
Hey, it's Rahul Stunt Double. That's a wrap. Join us tomorrow and kickstart your morning with us. Head over to postmorningshow.com and join us on the Post Morning Show Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. Pacific, 9 to 10 a.m. Central, 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern. Don't miss out. Join the conversation live at postmorningshow.com. See you there. Set your alarms, grab your coffee, and join the fun. Postmorningshow.com. See you bright and early.